Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to make this DIY hedge wall that is right behind me. So this DIY can be used in many different ways. You can use it at a party, a wedding, as a backdrop. You can even use it in your home as a wall partition. So if you live in like a studio apartment, or you just have a room that's large, but you want it broken up into two different spaces, you can use this in the middle. You can use it as a privacy wall. So if you wanted to put it outside on your patio or your deck, you can use it for that as well. So the only difficult part that I had with building this DIY was carrying all of the supplies myself. So I did have Rich come with me to Home Depot to pick up the supplies. It is just way too long and awkward for me to have carried or put into my car myself. So usually they do have help at hardware stores. They'll help you put it into your basket and then put it into your car when you're ready to leave, but then you will need help once you get home taking it out. I will show you guys different options on ways that you can build it. I did a stand on the bottom of mine, so I did need help with holding the wall up while I screw down the stand. So just little things like that. I do recommend having a helping hand because it just makes life so much easier. So now I'm just gonna get right into how to build it. So I first picked up a piece of plywood. I'll insert a picture here. So the size plywood that I got is a 4x8 sheet. This is gonna be the actual wall. So you do wanna be sure you're getting a piece that is big enough for the wall size that you want. If you do want a larger wall, I would recommend to just build two of these and put them side by side, because this would just make it a lot easier to transport. If you do need to put it in your car, it will be easier to move around. Then you will need 3 2x4x8 foot boards, and then I got 4 of these corner brackets, which I will be using to build the stand. You will also need some screws, so depending on the width of your plywood will depend on the size screws that you need. So my plywood is 1/2 inch, so using a screw at least 1 inch or larger will work for me. Then you will need some black paint and some artificial boxwood hedges. So I got mine right off of Amazon. I will leave the link down below for all of the supplies that I use for this in case you are interested. And then you will also need any type of extras that you want to add. I got these roses right from Michael's, and it did come in one of these little bouquets. All of the roses were inside. I ended up using all of the roses from this bouquet, and it worked perfectly for this. So that was a super inexpensive way to go. They also have flowers at the Dollar Tree, so you can really customize it however you want. You can also add a name to it, and I do sell these in my Etsy shop if you are interested in adding that to your wall. I do mirrored colored acrylics, and then I also do wood. Wood does come a natural wood color, so you can spray paint it, stain it, or paint it whatever color that you want. So if you are interested, I will leave my Etsy shop linked down below, and let's get started. So here is how the hedge comes. As you can see, there are a few spots that are see-through, so in order to make this wall look as realistic, like this is a plant, as possible, I am going to paint the wood black first. This can of paint was exactly enough for this DIY, so I do recommend being sure that you're really spreading the paint and not having it too thick in any sections. You will also need to paint 2 of the 2x4s, so I am just painting one side because we will be attaching it to either side of the wall so that it looks like the wall curves around the edge. So you only need to paint one side of those boards because you won't even see the other side. And once all of your paint has dried, we can begin assembling it. Since this is a pretty large piece, I am going to assemble it on the floor. For filming purposes, I have it sideways so that it can fit in the frame. But when we go to set it up, it's gonna be turned vertically.
Oh, well, wait, we gotta screw from the back side of it into the 2x4. How are you gonna do it?
I was gonna do this. And then
Aren't you, this is the front, right? And this is gonna go like this?
yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta screw from the back into the 2x4. You gotta screw through the 2x4?
Babe,
What, baby?
this is the front.
Yeah.
Why would I put it on the top? I'm putting it on the bottom.
Oh, I thought you wanted it to like wrap this way. You see? Like
No.
Oh, I see.
So that it looks like a
Oh, so it looks like it's rounded.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Then yeah, exactly. Okay.
So I'm starting with the two 2x4s on either side, and I do have them on their sides to where the 2-inch part is facing up. Then I'm going to place the plywood directly on top, and I'm just going to screw right through the plywood into the 2x4, and that's how we're going to secure everything together. You do want to be sure when you're screwing this all together that all of the black sides that we painted are facing outwards. So I'm just going to take my drill and begin pre-drilling all of the holes for when I go to add my screws. When you make the holes beforehand, it makes it a lot easier, and it also will help not split the wood. If you just directly go in with a nail, there's a higher chance that the wood can split. So pre-drilling it can help prevent that. Works great.
We're gonna go in the right way.
And I am just gonna start with one side of the wall and be sure that side is completely screwed in before I move on to the other side. That way I can be sure everything is perfectly lined up and that nothing moved in the process. So once I added all of the holes on one side, I went ahead and added all of the screws. Moving on to the other side, I'm gonna make sure that the board didn't move at all and then begin pre-drilling all of my holes just like I did on the other side, and then adding all of the screws. Oh, the battery's dying. Now our frame is built for the wall. I'm going to cut the other 2x4 that we purchased perfectly in half because this is what we will be using as the stand on the bottom. I am adding 2 of the brackets to the front bottom part of the frame. So basically those 2 brackets are on either side right here, as you can see. Since the plywood is only 1/2 inch and I wanted to use pretty long screws to hold the brackets in so that they're super secure, I will be using some scrap wood and placing that on the back of the plywood and screwing the bracket directly into it. This is just going to allow me to use longer screws so that the brackets are a lot more secure. Okay.
Okay, what?
I think I got it.
All right. You don't have it, baby. It's not gonna stay up though.
Why?
This thing's 8 feet tall. The ceiling's 8 feet tall. You should cut a little bit off.
Watch the light!
One day you'll listen.
You didn't tell me it didn't fit.
I said it's not going to stand up. It's 8 feet tall and the ceiling's 8 feet tall. And you said I wanted it taller. And I was like, okay.
What do I do?
Cut it now.
You can use anything that you feel like would work best to attach the hedge to the wall. What I'll be using is a staple gun, and I am just going to add a bunch of staples all throughout the entire wall. I'm stapling away and there's no staples in the staple gun. Are you kidding? And so that it does look like an actual hedge wall, I will be wrapping the greenery around the sides as well. So if you do see it from the side, you can still tell that it is a hedge wall. As you can see, when you try to place the hedge over the bracket, it kind of does make it lift up off of the plywood. So I am going to cut a slit right where the bracket goes. That way it does lay flat on the plywood. So that it doesn't look like you used individual squares, you can connect the hedges together. As you can see, there are rings on one side and then prongs on the other, and basically you can just snap them together and it will form one large piece. So that's what I'm gonna do to the entire wall, making sure every square is connected. And this process did take the longest, so if you are planning to recreate this, make sure you give yourself enough time to do this step. Once you have finished adding all of your hedges, I'm going to lift it up and make sure it is completely secure and add staples as needed. And once you are confident with that, we can finish up this stand on the bottom. I'm gonna add the 2 other brackets to the back side of the wall. We are gonna take our 2 4-foot pieces of 2x4 and put that on either side underneath your brackets. Wait, I gotta flip this one.
Okay, we'll pull it out and flip it, You just wait there while I flippy dippy and take my timey. I'm just kidding. You got it. Just work it. Work it. That's way too far in, by the way. Okay. Crooked too. Good God almighty. That's crooked.
There we go. And then we're going to screw the brackets directly into the wood, and that is the stand completed. Good. Okay. God, someone's delirious. You can paint the stands, cover it with fabric to kind of disguise it. It is definitely sturdy enough. As you can see, I'm pushing on it. But if you do use this outside and it's super windy and it's in an open space where there is a higher chance that it could blow over, I do recommend making the 2 legs on the bottom a lot longer. Mine are 4 foot each. Making them 8 foot would make it a lot more sturdy. And if maybe you don't like the aesthetic of the wood legs on the bottom, or you don't want people to trip or anything like that, you can also use a planter that is wide enough to put this inside and then fill it up with concrete and let that completely harden. That way this is held up with the concrete and the planter, and that will not go anywhere. So there are definitely different ways that you can hold it up on the bottom, but I absolutely love how it ended up coming out. I did go ahead and add these little white roses as well that I mentioned at the beginning that all came in 1 bouquet from Michael's. So all I did was pull them right out of the bouquet, and as you can see, there's a little hole at the bottom where they were attached. There are these really small prongs that hold the greenery onto the hedge wall, so I will just be placing the roses directly into there, and they held up perfectly. You can use some E6000 glue or hot glue to secure the flowers to the wall even more. So that is all for my DIY hedge wall. If you have any ideas of your own, definitely leave them down below in the comments. Like I mentioned, all of the supplies that I used in this video will be listed down in the description, as well as if you wanted a personalized name to add. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye guys.